Alexandra Kazarian here with Los Angeles Magazine. I'm a criminal defense attorney, and let's talk about Marcus Jordan's wild Monday night. It all started when officers tried to pull him over, but instead of heeding to the sounds of the siren, Marcus takes off in his Lamborghini Urus. Out of the frame, gone, he gets away. But he's soon to reappear. It's not clear if he called them or if they found him, but roll the tape. Here he is again. Marcus ends up in his Urus on the train tracks, stuck. Now, this is the beginning of the DUI investigation, and it's very, very important because this is where the officers start getting their evidence about whether they believe he's driving under the influence of alcohol. Now, people speed all the time. So speeding and getting pulled over, that by itself doesn't start a DUI investigation. But you'll see in this video, officers tell him immediately when he gets out of the car, you're not getting back in. We are suspicious that you are driving under the influence of alcohol because the number one factor, we can smell alcohol on your breath. And he never says, I wasn't drinking. What? That's crazy. I didn't have any alcohol tonight. How can you smell alcohol? He just laughs and says, no, I'm sober. The second factor, if you listen to his voice, is slurring your words. The officers for sure are putting in their report that they smelled alcohol and that he was slurring his words while he was talking to them, giving them the impression that he was under the influence of alcohol. In order for you to be prosecuted for driving under the influence of alcohol, you have to either be above a 0.08 blood alcohol level or driving under the influence of alcohol. You could be both at the same time, but you can be each one separately and be convicted of one and not the other. How does that happen? Well, if you're driving with a 0.08 blood alcohol level, but your driving is perfect, you make no mistakes, you drive the speed limit, aren't doing anything reckless, if the officers have reason to find out that you have over a 0.08 blood alcohol level in your system, or whatever your jurisdiction blood alcohol level is, if they find out that you're driving with that blood alcohol level, even if you're driving perfectly, you can be prosecuted and found guilty of a DUI. Now, on the other hand, if you're below the threshold, whatever it is, but you're driving recklessly and have alcohol in your system, you can again be found guilty of driving under the influence of alcohol. But for both to be true, you've got to have alcohol in your system and you have to be driving without the standard caution of a sober person. So that's the situation. Are you above the legal limit and driving okay? Still not legal? Or are you driving under the legal limit, but without the normal caution of a sober person? That's a DUI. Now, you can be both, over the limit and driving recklessly, of course. But here, what they're going to say is, he smelled like alcohol, he was slurring his words, and his car is stuck on the railroad tracks. Very, very solid circumstantial evidence that he was not driving with the caution of a sober person. Now, what else do we have going on? Let's watch the video of his arrest. And, oh, what's that baggie of white powder? Also arrested for possession of cocaine. You can be charged with driving under the influence of drugs as well. So that's another charge that he could be hit with. How are the officers going to prove that he was under the influence of cocaine or alcohol? Well, there's field sobriety tests, which he actually did. Doesn't look like he passed those with flying colors. But the most important test that you take during a DUI investigation is the blood alcohol chemical test. And Marcus refused that test. Now, you got to be very careful when you're getting a DUI, when you're under investigation for a DUI. You can refuse that test, which makes sure that they do not have that evidence if they're going to prosecute you later. That's huge. But most jurisdictions will revoke your license for an entire year if you refuse to take that chemical test. So it's a balance. Are you going to take that test and maybe give them the evidence they need to convict you? Or are you going to refuse that test? And then even if you get the DUI conviction, usually you're allowed to keep driving after a certain amount of time, or if you put a breathalyzer in your car. But if you don't take that test, you could still be convicted based on how badly you did during those field sobriety tests and in that investigation, and also be hit with a 1-year driving suspension. So you got to be really, really careful. What should Marcus do in this situation? Anytime you're hit with a DUI, it's always a good idea to take responsibility. You're in that situation because you were doing something dangerous. And what a court wants to see is that you understand it, you realize how dangerous it was, and you take the initiative to change your life. So start going to those AA classes immediately. Get yourself into a rehab facility if you really need to. But do something that shows that you understand the gravity of the situation and that you're not going to reoffend, because nobody wants drunk drivers out on that road. So there you go. Stay tuned for more analysis of the biggest cases that are going on every day. Happy to see you. See you soon with more Ask Alex from Los Angeles Magazine.